Hello everyone, welcome to the stream. So this is the banned and restricted live stream where I'm going to discuss what I think would be on a banned and restricted list if AMG, let's remember where we are now, decided to implement what they have for Marvel Crisis Protocol into Legion. Now, this game is a little bit more complex than Crisis Protocol, so it's going to be a little bit more difficult to explain how this list would work. I'm going to do my best. If anyone is confused, please comment in the chat. Also, please let me know if there's any issues you think you don't agree with something I say, or if there's a unit you think I should put on there or an upgrade I should put on there. Let me know. So I'm going to show you what I've got so far. There's two different versions of this I want to try, so let me know which ones you guys think is better. This is just the most basic graphic you can see for it. This is the restricted list, and then I also have... Starting screen is still up. Yeah, no, I haven't. I was just transitioning over now. So there's this, and then there's this, which... I need to make that a little bigger because I did not have a chance to actually properly format for this size. So, I know, what kind of crazy, half-thought-out production is this guy doing? So I can do that, or I can do this. This would be number 1, this would be number 2. What do you guys think? Which one should I do? Do you want to see my face or not? I guess is the real question. I still haven't gotten the live chat thing to work. Haven't really had a chance to look at it as much as I would have liked. So if if you would rather see it in the other format, just let me know. 1 or 2. First is easier to see. Yes, because the graphic is bigger. I just want to know which one you guys prefer. That's all. Okay, I got a vote for 1, a vote for 2. I guess somebody wants to see my face. Thanks, Garden. Garden wants to see my face. For those of you who don't know, he and I also play the Dark Souls board game on TTS together, and he has to be on my good side, otherwise I might let him get stabbed in the back. My face is fine. Okay. Well, thank you for that. I was worried it was not fine. It was just a conglomerate mess. Okay. Getting votes on both sides. I should do a poll. I should make like a straw poll later. Though I don't know how many of these specials I'm going to do. I guess it really just comes down to when I do these kind of things, would you prefer I just have the graphic and audio over it, or if you would actually like to see my reactions and stuff like that. So anyway, while we're waiting, I want to talk a little bit about what the restricted list entails in Crisis Protocol. Basically, in Crisis Protocol, it's a really simple system. Since they've only restricted and banned their team tactics cards, which are kind of like command cards in the closest analogy I guess you could put to them, you can only take up to 2 of them in your list. This game having so much more diversity kind of makes it difficult to judge, so I decided to go with this system where you can take up to 2 units in your faction's restricted list and up to 2 upgrades as well. So you'll notice that specifically the snipers in 3 of the factions are considered restricted and they're marked as upgrades. The simple thing to say with that would be that they're restricted within their faction, so they don't count as upgrades on the... this side. They don't count as those. Those are a separate, independent thing. That would be the easy way to do it. You could also have upgrades count as both. The snipers count as both restrictions. I don't really know. I'm a big fan of KISS. Not only the band, but also the idea of keeping it simple. So I think that, for example, in Empire, you can take 1 to 2 or 0 to 2 shore troopers, 0 to 2 special forces, 0 to 2 DLT 19X snipers. Now, of those 0 to 2 sets, you can only take 2 of them. So if you're taking a unit of shore troopers and a unit of special forces, say Inferno Squad, you can't take snipers now. because I find a lot of lists are kind of being restricted and shackled by that mentality of using snipers to push out more activations, and I think it's kind of detrimental to the game. So I want to kind of promote the idea of diversity within list building, and Empire's always been really good about that. They've always had a very diverse roster. I think only CIS at this point might be better in terms of their diversity of choice, but which is why CIS has the least number of restricted slots. I think it's important that we consider how the game's been going since the release of Short Troopers, release of Taunts, things like that. So you'll see a lot of this is going to be heavily focused on the more recent releases, because I don't think the game was in a very negative place before. I think Rebel list building was very restricted because they didn't have a lot of good options pre Short Troopers and Tauntauns. So everyone was just running Wonder Twins with Z6s and snipers, because there wasn't good options really. A lot of the stuff just felt suboptimal. But with this new RRG, I see people talking all the time now about airspeeder lists with Rebels, and that's probably going to be what I end up doing in January for Rebels. A couple people have asked me if I would actually consider cutting the Rebel Hero Hammer stream on Friday in favor of a double airspeeder list, but I do want to keep some diversity, and since I've already talked about Imperial armor, and I'm going to be talking about CIS armor the week after, I do want to throw some characters in the mix. So moving on from there, Rebels, you can take R2-D2, you can take Tauntauns, you can take snipers, but you can't take all three. That's basically what the first three are coming down to. You can take two of the three things in that list, but you can't take all of them. And I think with Rex, with Rebels, I don't think that's super limiting. In the sense of, like, there are a lot of lists right now that don't include Tauntauns, but they do include R2 and DH-44 snipers, or DH-447 snipers. Like, this isn't intended to, as an idea at least, to stop people from making the list they want to make. This is only for competitive to begin with. This is not meant for casual play. It's just to kind of create that diversity between units. No, so if you take, on YouTube, I was just asked if you take two shores, you're done. No. It's two of those slots. Those units are also just restricted more because they're so strong anyway. So you could take two shore troopers and two snipers. You just can't take any special of the Imperial Special Forces squads. Does that make sense? Basically, there's restrictions within restrictions. And also, I could easily see AMG literally just doing this. You could only have 0 to 2 of these units because they're so strong. And not even restricting it in the sense of, like, you can only take X amount of each of these things. Like, you can only take... What's the word I want to use here? I'm trying to think of a way to really explain this well. You could build a list with 2 short troopers, 2 Imperial Special Forces, no snipers. Maybe AMG is going to do it where you can build 2, 2, 2. This is not for anyone's official community tournament. This is literally just, I think, if AMG did a banned and restricted list, this is what I would expect to see on it. Don't take this as any sort of official announcement, any sort of... I wouldn't even necessarily call it a recommendation for play, because I don't think we're in a game state right now where that's necessary. This is more just, again, going forward. If they did this, this would be my suggestions. Republic's got the biggest whack on the nose. I really debated between actually Republic having 4 units on the restricted list, and that was Rex, R2, Arc Striker, Arc Troopers, Strike Teams, and Arc Troopers, all limited to 0 to 2. I don't know if I made the right decision by just restricting it to Strike Teams. I got kind of a mixed bag of reviews when I put it up the other way. It just comes down to... I do think arcs are incredibly strong, but I also don't... they're so expensive and they're such a points investment. I think that if you have a bunch of them, you can still risk getting destroyed by things like vehicles. So it's the strike teams that I'm more worried about. Separatists, you'll notice, really don't have a huge amount of restrictions. They just can't take more than 3 snipers, or more than 2 snipers now. That would be my only suggestion for separatists. they don't have any units that they're really spamming because they're too good. They have B2s or B1s or B2s that they're spamming because that's their cheap core, but they're not. They don't have full arcs. I mean, maybe full BX teams are underutilized and people just aren't doing enough of it yet. But based on what I've seen from Talk Polite, when he ran Vibro Jammer BXs, and just made a bunch of stabby boys, it wasn't oppressive. It didn't feel bad to play against. A lot of this does come around to what feels bad. My triple Goat Shore list was not fun for a lot of people to play against. Full arcs with arc strike teams with a bunch of phase 2s, the old Overwatch castle, was not fun to play against. Triple Tawns, I still don't think is fun to play against, especially when they have R2 and snipers. It's just, I don't want a game where people are only taking the best stuff in their faction, and that just hurts list diversity. So, as for upgrades, this is again just the idea of like, you can take some of these, but not all of these. These are upgrades I see spammed across sometimes 4 to 5, even more units. Offensive push, I was really surprised to not see a points increase in the last update. It's in so many lists, and it's such value to get one aim off of just 4 points. Like it's very, very valuable, because the thing is, if your aim generates a net hit that then takes out literally anything, including a B1, you've gotten value for your offensive push. So that card in and of itself is really strong. I've seen some situational awareness lists where it's on almost everything, and I don't think that's super healthy. Aggressive tactics and strict orders are there just because, again, I think that if you restrict them with offensive push and situational awareness, where you can't have all of the upgrades, that makes you make some difficult choices when list building. You said surprise, no Overwatch. I think Overwatch is fine. It was just not fine during Clone Castle. I know that people are building like exemplar lists that still use it, but there was never more than 1 or 2 units that were taking Overwatch anyway, if I remember correctly, in those lists. So it really wouldn't matter if I restricted. I guess I could. There are some honorable mentions. Overwatch would probably be on there. Full arcs would be on the honorable mentions as restricted. I also strongly considered HQ uplinks and comms jammers. Comms jammers, because they can be a real feel bad to play against in a certain set of situations, which is why I didn't put them on there. They're not bad all the time, but when they are bad, they feel really oppressive. But some lists don't care about them, but some lists do. So if jammers become a huge problem, this is also supposed to be an evolving list. If they ever implemented this, it's designed to evolve as time goes on. If jammers became a major issue, I could see them becoming restricted. HQ uplink also really wasn't a huge upgrade before aggressive tactics and strict orders got big. So I think restricting aggressive tactics and strict orders basically restricts HQ uplink. And then, yeah, like I said, Overwatch could be also fine in that situation. I just also could see like situations where you want to take 3 copies of it in like a Krennic list, and having it be restricted would really hurt his 2-pip, which I don't think is really fair for him, because he is not exactly he's not a problem commander right now. So yeah, those are my thoughts on that. Bear in mind again that the upgrades list on the just right on this, the upgrades list is separate from the list on the left. You can take 2 shores, 2 snipers, and still take 2 offensive pushes and 2 copies a copy of aggressive tactics. Those are separate things entirely. This is this is as simple as I could try to make it without with the game being as it is. It's hard to translate what Crisis Protocol did into Star Wars Legion, just because it's a more complex game. There's so much Crisis Protocol. You can't take multiple copies of a character, even if that character is named differently, as we found out about the 2 versions of Black Widow that actually had different names, and people were like, well, I can run 2 Black Widows. They quickly eroded that to say you can't, but the intent being is that you'll never have multiples the same. So there's very little reason to restrict any characters. There's might be reasons to ban a character. I don't want to get too into it because it's not focused on Crisis Protocol, but depending on how a certain ruling on Angela goes, I wouldn't be surprised if she gets banned or restricted, along with maybe some other characters. So yeah, there's that. I'm going to take a sec here, grab my drink. I want to know what you guys think I'm going to put on the banned list. If anything, if I think anything should be banned. But spoiler alert, there is something that I do want to ban. I think should be banned in competitive play, and it's because it's incredibly toxic for list building, in my opinion. So post your thoughts in chat. Let me know what you think I'm going to suggest be banned from competitive play. Most people probably would have thought it would have been aggressive tactics, because a lot of people have spoken out against it. But no, I think it's fine. It's so expensive right now. It's worth restricting, but not worth banning. So I'm gonna wait a minute. Oh, the banned one will be in the Type 1 version. I didn't build the Type 2 version for it because I wanted to make it as big as possible. You don't need to see my face for this. This is where I should have like some lo-fi beats or something. Little audio. Garn, I obviously am not going to ban R2. I already put him on the restricted list. Okay. Is Rex on the restricted list different from a ban? Yes. Rex can still be taken. He just can't be taken with R2 and strike teams. You have to pick one or the other if you're going to run Rex, is basically what it is. Some other suggestions are you serve your master well. Okay. There are no command cards on the restricted list. That's actually a pretty bold statement. And I did consider command cards. But because they're tied to characters, it tends not to be so bad. Ascension cables. Look, he's banned in every list. R2 is banned in every list I build, Garn. Unless it comes with 3PO. I think 3PO R2 is great for things like Padme. I don't think he's unfair then. But, okay, so let's see here. I'm interested in why someone thinks Ascension cables should be banned. They must have had a really bad experience with some guys scaling up and down. I will say, somebody came up with a really interesting idea. I must say it was my teammate Nerfly. He was like, Ascension cables, the ion gun, and offensive push on, like, snow troopers. So you move, go up, shoot, go back down, because you have steady, and then you would just recover everything the next turn, and then pop back up, shoot. You're stuck on that turn. Then the next turn you recover, shoot, go back down. And you just endlessly like cycle. And then if you like have Veers, you can do an Imperial Discipline on them. It'd be really strong against vehicles. And I think that's really cool. It's an interesting way to think about snow troopers, that they do have access to a lot of exhaustible options. Seize the Initiative. That is an interesting choice. I have not seen enough play from it, so again, I'm not sure. A lot of the new stuff, upgrades wise especially, I haven't seen a lot of play with it, so I haven't really had any strong feelings about it. All right, here we are, 23 minutes in. We're gonna show my band card. Nobody guessed it right. That's right. It's Fives. I think Fives is super toxic to this game. And again, we talked a little about it in the Fives list building stream. His ability to delete so many support commanders, upgraded shore trooper units, even other upgraded clone units don't do well against him, means he's going to push a lot of options out of the game. It doesn't feel good to take Veers right now if your opponent has Fives, because you can't ever expose Veers lest Fives just nuke him. I've played a couple of games where my opponent has screened Fives extremely well, and it became a question of, if Fives ever gets a shot, the game is basically mine. It's just not good for the health of the game that he can set up these massive fire supports that are capable of deleting a lot of really, really strong pieces. You don't even want to take, like, Operative Luke. Even though Operative Luke probably won't die to a 5-shot, you can reduce him down to basically irrelevance by just forcing him to have so few wounds that if he ever pokes his head out again, you can just chip shot him with like your DC 15s or whatever else. Vader and Grievous can take his shot. And bear in mind that the list I built was built around him with Obi-Wan. Fives with Take That Clankers, an offensive push, is capable of taking down even Vader or Grievous in one shot with that extra 5 white dice. It's just so egregiously strong. Now, how do I think you fix fives? I think you just take away his Coordinate Clone Trooper. Honestly, the ability for it to set up its own fire support is too good. His courage buff is nice. He's got a good pool. That should be enough. And I would be fine with him losing points for it too. If he was 28 points and lost Coordinate Clone Trooper, I think he'd be a lot healthier than he is now. It would just be, you couldn't put him every turn in a situation where he can just delete entire squads. So yeah, that is why fives is currently on my suggested banned list. I don't know if anyone agrees or disagrees with this. I'd like to hear some commentary on that. As I enjoy my drink. By the way, if you guys didn't know, I got one of those. I got lucky. If you didn't see the ads, the Corksicle made the Stormtrooper cups. Really nice quality. I love it. Great for, your drinks while you're doing stuff. I'm not advertising for Corksicle, but I will say if you want to buy some, I highly recommend it. We're not monetized. Doesn't matter. It's awkward because I have to wait like a minute behind everybody else because the stream's got that time sensitive delay. Makes it kind of difficult to keep the pace going. What if there's a way to actually make that? No, because there's always going to be a delay. Even if I had like YouTube and Twitch open, there would still be a delay on what I see versus what you guys see. Okay, on YouTube, he acts kind of as an HQ uplink workaround. If he could be more expensive, he probably could be more expensive, but seeing he's the only coordinate clone, I don't think it's bannable. You might be right, but there's another reason here, and that's that direct keyword that just got added to the RRG worries me. I'm really, really hoping that only clone troopers or only the CIS commander has it. I don't even want the CIS commander anyway to have it because I think that would trivialize CIS setting up their order chain. But if either of them have it, they're bad for different things. Okay, so I got a bunch of questions now. I got to work my way through them. Okay, so yeah, I feel like because he sets up his own fire support, it's just going to be a constant problem. It's not necessarily as an HQ uplink workaround, because uplinks you have to take actions to recover. You can't use them every turn. Excuse me. Fives just needs to be issued in order, ever, to get his ability off, and as long as he's within range 1 of a friendly clone trooper unit. So he's much more efficient than an HQ uplink. He's got 2 health. He's actually, and I've actually pointed this out too a couple of times, he's actually strong even if he's the only guy left in his squad. He's throwing 3 black sharpshooter 1 with 2 health. Like, he's actually one of the best solo unit leaders in the game by himself. Malik Jones says, can't clones still delete characters with the 2-up pip command cards anyway? Yes, but it will take multiple shots generally. I've done the math. Fives is the only one who consistently brings full deletions of entire squads off of every one of his attacks. You'd have to really token up clones on the 2 pips, like for full arc squads to delete squads like Fives does with his fire support. Call Sanders says, isn't he the same as Hask? Like 2 red versus 3 back, otherwise identical. So just the fact that the unit fire supports makes him too good. Exactly. That is exactly the problem, is that he sets up that fire support every time. And we talked in my previous stream about why that's so efficient, but I will go into it again here. You have to look at the math like this. Every time you fire support with 5s, you're gonna spend an activation, right? So you and your Z6 squad are essentially using. Let's pretend that the Z6 squad wasn't going to fire support. They're going to aim and they're going to shoot. The value that 5s adds, because, or not 5s, but the ARC squad adds to the Z6 squad, because they have sharpshooter and because they're going to have targeting scopes, is essentially the same value in terms of offensive power, if not better in some cases, than the offensive value you would have gotten from the activation of the Z6 phase 2s. The advantage being that you front load that activation and that damage. It's a gamble, of course, because if you don't take out the opposing activation, you're now down an activation for the turn. But if you do take out an activation, and it's statistically likely that you will, in most cases, then you've just basically evened out your act count in that turn, and then going forward, you've deleted an activation, so you're actually at an advantage. It's just a net win every time you fire support 5s and delete a squad. In terms of at least how I think about it. Like I said, it's very easy for an 8 activation 5s fire support build to bring an opposing like 10 to 11 activation squad to lower activation than he has within like 3 or 4 turns. The game that I played, which I'm still editing, with one of my teammates, I tabled him. He had 11, I think he had 11 activations to start, and I tabled him. And he played well. 5s didn't get a lot of fires. I think I fire supported with 5s once. One time, he saw Op Luke in heavy cover, and he did 6 wounds to him. And my teammate played really, really well to protect that. That Luke survived until the end of the game, but it completely turned his Luke off. He couldn't do a lot with him for fear that if he ever left Luke exposed for more than a second after that, I would just take him out with any of the other clones I had. So he just creates this massive zone of pressure, when not only in game, but when you're list building, to have things that can basically weather his shot. So would he be okay if he couldn't go in arcs and just core? Yes. Well, I don't want to say yes, actually, because it still becomes troublesome. He loses Sharpshooter 1. Let's say I put him in a phase 2, right? He loses Sharpshooter 1, but gains Reliable 1. He's still got the same range 3 gun, which is where I did most of the math from, because it's still the black. It's still going to be 7 black. His offense would peter off a little bit, but not significantly. It's just, again, it just comes down to the auto setup of those fire supports. It's just not good for the game. I don't know. The short answer is I don't know if just changing him so he can't be in arcs would be a good answer, because I don't think it would actually impact his offense enough to merit. That's not the word I want to use. I don't think it would peter off his offense enough to make it a huge difference. You could put it, if you put him in core, he's still able to do a ton of damage. He's still able to set up those massive fire supports. That said, though, he does lose tactical. So maybe that helps, too, because maybe then they can only stand and shoot. I don't know. That would probably be the soft fix, but I think that the true fix would just be to get rid of Coordinate Clone Trooper at this point, especially if clones get access to direct, because that just is you just direct him every turn and you get 2 free orders and a setup fire support every turn off him, if that ends up being the case. Like I said, I really hope neither of those new commanders get direct. I think it's bad for different reasons. And we'll do a reaction video. The whole team Relentless will do a reaction video once we get spoilers on that. But I saw that keyword, and I think I said it in the live stream. I'm just so concerned about what that could mean for the state of the game going forward. Hey, maybe it'll go on like Lando and Callus. That'd be cool, actually. I wouldn't mind that either, but I'm worried it's going to end up on generics. Let's see. Yeah, Malik, if you haven't watched my YouTube or my video on 5's fire support for list building, the first video I put out, I highly recommend it. The data that shows like how much offense he's likely to do in a single attack is on there, and it's really telling in terms of how strong it is. one moment here. Somebody tag me in. No. Somebody did tag me, but it wasn't for what I thought it was. Okay, so yeah, that's where I'm at with that. 5 should be banned, in my opinion, and we're back to here. And this is the restricted build. So I hope that's clear to everybody what I'm thinking. I don't know what AMG's going to do. I don't know if we're going to get a whole new system. Maybe they change the way that, like, armies can be built. Because I know, like, doesn't 40K have a system where, like, different factions have different army compositions? We could see that, too, in this game, maybe, if AMG decides to go that route, where maybe Empire can take more core. Empire and CIS can take more core and special forces, but, like, Rebels can take more supports and heavy, no, probably supports and special forces, because that's what they're known for. Like, Separatists just spam B1s. I don't know. That would be really cool if you could have, like, 10 B1s, but they all have to be, like, naked. They can't have any upgrades. And Separatists would just be so cool and so thematic. And it would be an interesting list to see. I don't know how they're going to, even if they are going to do any of this stuff. This is just my suggestion. If AMG was to create a banned and restricted list, this is what I think they should do. I should have had a graphic that just had, like, banned at the bottom right, and it just had Fives' image there, and I could have just panned into it. But I did not put that much forethought into this, unfortunately. I spent more time thinking about what should be on the list than how I would present the list. Let's see. I should probably have justified why I chose some of these other things too. Short troopers just have pushed out. So we'll go down the list. Why did I choose each thing? I probably should have done that and I wasn't thinking. Short troopers have pushed out a lot of the Empire Corps. Almost every list I see takes short troopers and mortars, even naked, over stormtroopers and snow troopers. So I think by restricting them, you might give a little more diversity to Imperial Corps. Not sure. Maybe you would. 0 to 2 Imperial Special Forces, including Inferno Squad, is designed to kind of put a little bit of a muzzle on Tactical Strike. People are saying that the 3-3-3 thing is too strong. Okay, well, if we make it 2 units of ISF, is that more reasonable? Or do people just slot in DTs? I don't know. But I think that's at least an attempt to make Tactical Strike a little less painful. All the sniper justification is the same. Everyone takes too many snipers. I'd like to see less sniper wars. Rebels, R2-D2 is just, even at its increased points, it's a 45-point threat you have to deal with in so many scenarios that like trend towards ties or you lose. You have to deal with him, and you usually have to invest far more than his points to take care of him. Tauntauns, I know post-nerf they don't feel so bad, but I do still think they're not great for Rebel list building. I'd like to see more lists that have 2 Tauns and like an FD. Because an FD is really good now, but everyone looks at FD as like, I could take a Taun for just a little more. And then they don't put the FDs in. Or the RTs or whatever. Rex, everybody's building lists that include Rex. I want to see lists that don't include Rex. I want to see more Jedi in the Republic. Simple as that. I think it hurts the list building choices. R2-D2, same thing. Our Trooper Strike teams. I didn't realize this until last night, and it was like, it wasn't that I hadn't known it, but I hadn't like thought about it, is that Republic doesn't have SABs. It had never occurred to me that they didn't have a mine option until I was going through this again and being like, I'm going to change the upgrades to snipers. Because originally I had strike teams. I probably should talk about that. I originally had strike teams as restricted, because that was simple. But then I remembered that SABs don't get a lot of play. And I don't want to punish SABs because snipers are too good. And SABs do want to be run in sets of 3. So, because there's usually 2 guys who go forward and there's a trigger man in the back. So I elected to make sure that you could still take triple SABs. if that was an option. But because GAR doesn't have a SAB option, I can just restrict their strike teams freely without feeling bad about it. So there's that. So yeah, that's where we're at. Don't have a lot more going on here. I am going to go ahead and just transition over to the upcoming week's schedule. So you can see we are currently on Tuesday, the Legion Banned and Restricted list. I will be live streaming Stellaris tomorrow, Bannerlord on Thursday, and then Friday I'll be doing a Rebel Hero Hammer list build. And then Saturday, like I said, I'm hoping that I can get the entire Team Relentless, or at least 4 other members of Team Relentless, to jump on Star Wars Squadrons with me so you can watch us all just try to play that game badly and just get wrecked. So yeah, that's going to be the upcoming week's events. Since I'm still in COVID quarantine, I basically don't have a lot to do besides these live streams. And they do kind of keep me entertained, so hopefully you enjoy that. I do also want to give a couple of shout-outs, and I'm going to link some of this stuff in the Twitch chat. And I may put it underneath the live stream once it's posted on YouTube. Yeah, I know, I accidentally put an extra A in Squadrons. I just didn't feel like fixing it. It was a lot of work. The first thing I do want to give a shout out to is our Patreon. Team Relentless started a Patreon recently. We currently are sitting at, I believe it's 3 patrons. So I do want to give a shout out to Woody, Chad, 395, and Jeff. All of them are new patrons. We will have a link to the Patreon in the Discord, or not the Discord, in the YouTube notes, and then I'm trying to grab it right now for, I should have thought about this before the Twitch. We're going to put it on the Twitch chat as well so people can see it. What it gives you access to is it gives you access to our Discord server. There's more benefits. I'm not really on that side of things right now. That's more just the TR guys who are more into that have designed it. I don't know enough. I'm not paying enough attention. I have a baby. But I know you get access to our Discord, which means you can actually chat with me and help me develop new lists. I've actually started playing some other games too, like Blood Bowl, since it just got the 2nd edition, and one of our patrons is actually on there helping me build some nice Blood Bowl teams. So let me see if I can get a link to that. Well, I'll link it as soon as they send me it. All right, next is, I know a lot of you guys didn't get access to the special edition Lukes. I want to give everyone the opportunity to get a Luke, not just from my live stream, but any opportunity that I can find for you to get access to those Lukes, because I do think that that's kind of the point of these limited edition Lukes. They didn't cost, as far as I know, they didn't cost the stores anything. I feel like they should be given away for tournaments. They should be given away for fundraisers, raffles, stuff like that. They shouldn't be necessarily sold. So I'm going to put up a link. This person has started a fundraiser for Extra Life, the Children's Miracle Network hospitals. And so what that is if you donate to this link, which I'm including on the Twitch right now, and I will have in the show notes under the YouTube. Actually, I think I can, I'm just going to post it as myself. Here we go. There's the link. Follow that link. You can donate. Every $5 will give you an opportunity to potentially get a limited edition Luke. It's for a good cause. I recommend you at least look at it. So please follow that if you can. I'm still waiting on that Patreon link, which I'm currently not seeing, which is saddening for me. There's also, for those of you who don't know, there's also kind of a more fun news. Board Game Geek, or not Board Game Geek. Is it Board Game Geek? No, it's not. It's, who is it? Let me see. Hold on. Miniature Market. That was who it was. They're doing a giveaway for $250 gift card. So I'm going to throw a link up for that as well. Obviously, there's a referral system. So if you follow this link, I get a couple extra referral codes. Or not referral codes, a few more entries. You can make your own. If you send me your Miniature Market referral code, I will, of course, click it and try to get you an entry back. So it's just another fun thing. I'm just thinking about like newsworthy things that are ways we can all help each other out. Obviously, I'd really like to see somebody in the Legion community get that gift card and be able to buy more stuff for the hobby. So if you're interested in that, follow the link. This is probably the most I'm ever going to do for like promoting stuff, though. Feels bad. Feels weird. There it is. All right, there's the last Patreon. Oh, I should have just guessed. It's just patreon.com/teamrelentless. But you know what? Sometimes I am not the best at knowing that stuff. So anyway, those are the 3 links. If you want to look at them, like I said, the first one's an access to potentially getting 1 Luke's for a fundraiser. Second one is opportunity to get some credit on Miniature Market, and the third is our Patreon. So please follow. I should do what all the YouTubers do. Like and subscribe the channel, and enjoy the rest of your night.